All right, so for today's show, I had a different show planned, but because of different circumstances and how I felt today, I decided not to do that show. So I'm just going to talk about something else today that was on my mind and I just felt like doing. So, one of the things I wanted to talk about was the responsibility as a dog owner. So, as you see Lola here, she is she's 13 years old. And I got her when she was about 6 weeks, something like that. And oddly enough, her birthday was on June 4th, just like mine. And I had my girlfriend with me at the time, and I think when she looked at the price tag, I think she thought it was a little bit outrageous. She probably thought the zero was in the wrong place. But yeah, so I bought Lola for like $1,600. And of course, as dogs are, they're worth every penny. And there's a lot of responsibilities as a dog owner. I mean, I try to feed her perfectly. She doesn't get that regular dry food. She eats chicken. And let's see if she's hungry now. Lola. And that's her roast beef that she eats on a regular basis. She eats vegetables, she eats chicken. Basically, she eats better than most people that I know. So, as a dog owner, which I don't even like the term dog owner, I think you share space with another living thing. And I don't think they're anything beneath us. I mean, a dog's ability to show unconditional love, I think, is way more than people. And I think they know how to forgive better than people. And there's about a ton of things that they do better than people. As a matter of fact, I'll go as far as to say, and you can look up this, there is some evidence to show this, is that a dog is definitely better than most therapists, especially in the area of PTSD or decreasing somebody's anxiety or helping out with depression. And there I go, I'm putting myself out of business, right, as a therapist. But I can tell you that there is enough evidence to show you that the average dog is definitely better than the average therapist. More responsibility. So not just food. They need their shots. She was spayed. She gets regular baths.
Dog training.
Dog training. She actually graduated. So she doesn't always listen anymore, but she definitely graduated. She goes on walks every day with me. I take her every day, and she's got a little bit of arthritis. And so it takes her a little bit. She walks a little stiff with her back legs, but when she gets going, she actually gets in a jog, which is kind of fun. And she's had a ton of friends to play with over the years. Lots of dogs. I had to put down a few dogs that they're not here anymore. But she plays with Kubi and Nelson now, and they're both 7. And they look after her. They actually groom her and stuff like that. So I know she's small and she's old, but she seems to be the alpha out of them all. And as you know, I do, this is more of a psychology channel that I have. So one of the things I would talk about is, if you've been through a fair amount of trauma in your life, there's certain things that start to make up your personality, or could make up your personality. And one of them is the need for control. And having a dog, it satisfies that need, because everything that she eats, every time she exercises, I'm in control of that. So that's always something. And there's unconditional love there, so it makes you very close. There's something about a love from a dog that you give and receive that you just don't get from human beings. And if you have a dog, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't have a dog, well, it's unfortunate. Part of trauma also is something that I like to call being neurotically naive. Now, on another show, I'll get more deeply into this. But being neurotically naive would mean that things are bad, or things are getting worse, and you have a tendency not to look at that. Now, I know a lot of children who do this, or people that come from very disadvantaged backgrounds or very poor backgrounds. So they can look back on it, and they may not at the time understood that if there's nothing in the refrigerator, they never really understood how bad that was. Or I actually heard from somebody the other day that they didn't have running water, so they would go to an apartment complex where they had a pool, and they could jump over the fence and sneak in and get into their shower that they had there. And they thought it was fun. Well, I guess because if they realized, how poor they were or how disadvantaged, it would be a very hard way to live. So people who go through trauma, or in some other circumstances, people who love too much, they have to become neurotically naive because they don't really want to face how bad the situation is. So Lola, what she does sometimes, she'll wake me up in the middle of the night. She'll pat me with her paw because she can't really jump off the bed anymore. And so I'll take her downstairs and she'll go to the bathroom, or she'll want something to drink or something to eat. And then she's fine. Then I put her back to bed, which she sleeps on my pillow. But lately, she's been breathing a little bit harder, and I noticed that. So I took her to the vet today, and what it was is I noticed a lump by her chest. And what they told me is that the diagnosis is that she has lymphoma, which, at the stage that it's at, or for her age, they said, I have to know more about it. They referred me to a canine chemo, I guess or oncologist. The negative on that, of course, is, besides the fact that she, they said she has lymphoma, is that it's very difficult for a 13-year-old dog to just survive that. So they offered me some other things which I'm considering. But the point is that they said there's a pretty good chance that we might be looking at 2 to 6 weeks. And I think about this because when you're dealing with grief, sometimes, like in a situation like this, it would be called anticipatory grief, because she's not gone yet. But as a person who loves Lola, and that dogs give unconditional love, I don't want to see her go through any unnecessary pain. And it's really hard to tell with the dog because they don't really tell you, and then they try to impress you in some ways, and they try to act like everything's okay. Like today, I had 8 ounces of ground beef earlier today, and I think she ate 4 ounces of it. And so, this whole thing about her, not wanting to eat is not really affecting her yet. Although she's lost a couple of pounds though, which is odd because she is eating, and she's doing her walking. So anticipatory grief, part of it is the thinking about the loss and knowing that I've had her since pretty much almost the day she was born, and knowing how much love she gives, and that's part of it, anticipatory, right? But the other part of that is how I started the show today, about talking about responsibility as a dog owner. And that responsibility is sometimes you might be in the situation that you have to play God. And that would be the part where, you might have to end the pain of your dog. And that's a difficult thing to think about. So on the one side, I always tell people to face your issues, face your problem, face your emotions, and it's okay. And it is, because the pain that I feel right now, listen, I've been through a lot of fights in my life. I fought in the streets, I've done UFC fighting, I've done wrestling, I've done boxing, I've done football, whatever, you name it. There's nothing that, I can go over some injuries, right? I won an arm wrestle with a broken elbow. I've done 50 things. I mean, I've had a hip replacement and still won 3 bodybuilding contests. That physical type of pain and getting over it means absolutely nothing. The emotional pain here is way more. I mean, I'd much rather break my arm again if I had the choice. But, there's some things you have control over and some things you don't. And so, yeah, part of the grief is the thought that I have to play God, possibly. So on the good side, I mean, I could have found her gone, and that's true, and never had that real goodbye type thing. And that's definitely true. That's possible. And that's a certain amount of grief. Absolutely. That doesn't make it any better. But in this sense, I have a little bit of time. I got time right now, right? So I have to be thankful for that. And I am thankful for that. Grief, in a sense, is good. It means that the intensity of the grief that you feel is roughly the intensity of the love that you also have and feel. Meaning that the more it hurts, the more you care and the more you love. And so is it worth it? In my mind, absolutely. I don't want to be too cliche. I think Shakespeare wrote it a long time ago about it's better to have loved and lost than not to have loved at all. And I agree with that, 100%. But, on the other side, I remember my father, he used to say, if you want to play, you got to pay. And it could mean a lot of things, right? Sometimes it could mean like staying up too late at night. You can play all you want, but you got to pay because you still got to wake up early in the morning and go to work. I think of it like this, in terms of this situation. The playing part is having, so far up to 13 years of unconditional love. And that's the play. Anybody can do that. That's the good part, right? That's fun. That's easy. Who can't do that? But if you want to play, you have to pay. And the paying at the end, in this sense, is... you pay with emotional pain. You pay with the grief that you feel. You pay through watching a living thing not exist anymore, to die. And you might have to be the one who makes that decision to do that and watch it happen. And no matter how much pain that is, or no matter how much, like my father would say, how much you're paying, it's more than worth it because you got to play for all those times up front. So that's just kind of the way life works, right? So here's where we stand. Lola's sick. But she's still... Is she gonna eat? Yeah. Just want to swallow it? Maybe she's full.
She had a lot of beef today.
She's eating a lot today. She had like 3 or 4 slices for breakfast, and like I said, she had like 4 ounces of my ground beef earlier today. So moving forward, if you want to be emotionally strong in this life, you're going to have to figure out what's in your control and what's not in your control. Getting older is not in my control. I can't worry about that. I can be sad about it, but I can't worry about it. If she were to go to sleep tonight and not wake up, I'm not in control of that either. What am I in control of? Well, I'm going to go to the canine oncologist. That's in my control. I can see what options there are, if there are any at all. I joined a Facebook group for canines with lymphoma that they go through a non-chemo route, I guess, because some dogs are too old to really withstand the chemo. So I'm looking at some natural remedies. And that's what I'm in control of. That's what I can do. I can see about a special diet. But to be realistic. I've been a trainer for over 30 years. I know what's healthy and what's not. And they say that cancer is fed by, I should say, cancer, it eats off of sugar and starches. So you want to be able to decrease that on a so-called cancer diet. Well, I do that for her already. She doesn't eat garbage. It's mainly a meat diet, or a keto diet, you would say, more towards the heavy fats and proteins. And unfortunately, like with the roast beef here, that's what I kind of already do. So I don't know how much more options there are, but I'm going to go do that because it makes me feel like I have control, right? Like I got a little bit of something. And the other thing I have control is to make her feel as loved as possible and to make her as comfortable as possible. And she likes being petted. And whenever I'm sitting on the couch, she hates that because she wants to be on the couch. So I can put her on the couch with her favorite pillow. That I can do. And that's about it. So that's the show I decided to do today. If that sounded a little bit weird and all over the place, it probably was, because I'm just doing this pretty much off the top of my head. And this isn't my best day I've ever had. So, all right. So I guess that's it. Hopefully that show had some value to you, to be able to face difficult things. Because honestly, we're all going to have to do it. And if I practice what I preach, this is it. I have to be able to show you in a way of how to do that. And so that's what I'm doing. If the show had value to you, I hope you put a like on it, and hopefully you can subscribe, and even better, tell a few friends. That would be nice. I'd like that, and Lola would like that too. All right, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.